what does Candace and Bibi Netanyahu have in common? The subject of Candace Owens is not one I wanted to talk about. I've mentioned it briefly on the show a few times, but I put it in the title because that's what everybody who's chasing engagement is doing. So I figured I would address this subject head on, which I've actually covered the subject of Candace Owens for many, many years, actually. And my position on her has never changed, even though her position has changed quite frequently. Here's what I think. One can question both the official narrative and Candace Owens at the same time. The official narrative around what happened to Charlie Kirk. You can question both of those. One can think that some members of TPUSA are full of it and that Candace Owens is full of it at the same time. One can think that Bibi Netanyahu is trash and that Candace Owens is trash at the same time. Candace Owens is and has always been a con artist since she's been in high school. And I've called her out for it since I first encountered her many, many years ago. I called her out for when she became the black female Republican that white dudes loved for her opportunistic grift that was disingenuous. I called her out when she latched on to Ben Shapiro's teat at the Daily Wire and was touching the wall over in Israel. And I've called her out in between, and I continue to call her out now. My position about what she does has never changed. What she does has continued to change because she is an exceptional con artist. And I deconstruct propaganda and highlight con artists on this show. And that is what I will continue to do, which is why I criticize Bibi Netanyahu, members of TPUSA, and Candace Owens, because they are all the same. And for years, I have focused on them at various points in time in this show for carrying on the grift that they all engage in. Candace Owens, however, right now has gone a bit further with what she is doing. And that's not to say that I don't agree with some of the things that she says. Con artists have to say things that their target audience agree with and identify with to prepare them to accept the grift and the lie and the direction that they pull them in, or to get them to purchase their $200 signed book from their website. That's right. $200 you can get her signed book on her website. She wouldn't be selling it for that if people weren't buying it. You can get a Freddie Freeman signed World Series baseball for less. Candace Owens is co-opting conspiracy-minded people similar to myself by stating things that we agree with to position herself and positioning herself as being under attack by an enemy common to those in the conspiratorial community, which is Israel. That's how many people perceive it. And so she can thus, using tribalism, which she accuses others of doing, which they also do, can blind people to things that might undermine their belief about a person. If you blind people with emotion and tribalism, they don't care about the underlying grift or con that might be going on. And people who eat up the Candace slop or candy slop are not just mommies and conspiracy mommies. There are people in alternative conspiracy communities, some of them, who I personally believe have not watched all of Candace's shows. I have painfully watched them because it's what I do, and she right now is the best at propaganda. She's the best at it right now. And she displays exceptional use of tactics and skills and crowd audience co-option, and she's going to destroy all of the hard-earned credibility that conspiracy-minded people and good conspiracy researchers have built up over the past, 5 years since COVID started or so. We are going to get censored hardcore because of Candace Owens. Conspiracy theorists are. That's what's going to happen. That's why her popularity is allowed. That's why she's allowed to say things as the number one podcast, which that's not necessarily true. That was true for a brief moment in time with these podcast ratings on one of the charts. She's very popular, no doubt about that. One of the most popular in the world. That's why she's able to say the things that many of us have said for years. And we've had our videos removed, we've been demonetized, and we've been censored. They are propping her up to brand all of us like her. And I believe that if many of the people celebrating what she's doing had watched the fullness of her videos, then they wouldn't be so quick to attach themselves to her as the leader in the conspiracy community. And that's what she has become. And that is how Candace will be the reason why conspiracy theorists are censored, are discredited, and the trust will be swung back into the favor of the mainstream media, because it's all part of an operation that the World Economic Forum has been undergoing for many, many years. They even said it. We've lost the trust of the people. The people are more united. The elites are more united, but the elite institutions have lost the people's trust. We need to do Operation Trust to get it back. And there's been no better, whether she is intentionally or unintentionally. I happen to believe she's probably doing it intentionally, but I can't know that. It just seems by her behavior and by her associations with her husband and with John Mappin and with all these elites and these elite institutions. It's crazy that people who are conspiracy theorists ignore that simply because she is angling and exploiting their dislike of Israel. It's blinding people. Watch all of her videos, guys. I am certainly not a Zionist. I am certainly not a celebrator of Bibi Netanyahu. I question that as hard as anything. I made jokes at Bohemian Grove about Tim Pool, about Bibi. I am none of the things that you instantly get branded as when you question Candace. I certainly question the official narrative. I make fun of Kash Patel all the time. Yet Candace has created this thing online where if you do anything but accept what she's doing, or if you act like you don't recognize what she's insinuating, and you play, she has everybody doing this game where they say, oh, she never said that, when you know good and well she insinuated. She has bots everywhere. I started looking at some of the replies that I was getting and others were getting. And when you go to the accounts, they're accounts that were just created in December, many of them, and they do nothing but say the exact same thing about Candace. That's not to say that other sides don't have bots. The internet is full of bots. Starting to believe the dead internet theory. She is here, and she's being propped up to make us all look crazy and to discredit the hard-earned credibility that conspiracy theorists have gained. You can't get mad at me now for saying that, but you will believe me later when it happens. We will be censored again when they identify and classify conspiracy theorists with hate speech, and they apply these internet rules that are being applied in England and other countries, you know, where her husband's from, and we will suffer even more when it comes to free speech than we did during the COVID times. Which brings me to the title, the question I posed in the title: what does Candace Owens and Bibi Netanyahu have in common? Well, it's very simple. They both love what Candace is doing right now. Candace is getting all the attention she loves and getting rewarded financially for it. And Bibi Netanyahu, he loves it because when speech that's classified as conspiracy hate speech starts getting cracked down on hardcore again because of Candace, guess who benefits the most from that? Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. Because you will no longer be able to openly criticize and question Bibi Netanyahu and Israel's actions, as many have been able to do since X changed ownership. That will no longer happen once Candace's job in this position is done. She won't be the one that suffers from it. The rest of us will. She will move on to her next grift. Nobody is happier with what she is doing than Benjamin Netanyahu. If anybody is a 7K Israel shill, it's Candace. And it's more like 7 mil Israel shill if we really crack down on the numbers over the long run. So that's all I have to say about it. Not to mention John Mappin, Scientologist, and Epstein's little bit. It's just so crazy how people who are so keen on certain things just ignore like crazy connections. It's wild to me because because it feels so satisfying to have someone with a big platform express the hate that they feel inside. So they're going to be blind to everything else. Again, I think it's because they haven't actually watched all of her shows, because I just can't imagine some of these people who I see blindly supporting her ever doing that if they realized what they were attaching themselves to. Once again, not saying she doesn't say things that I agree with sometimes. She does, but she does it for, I believe, a malicious purpose, is to destroy all of our credibility.